Hey guys, Jay here, welcome to another cosplay tutorial. Today I'm making the soldier armor from Final Fantasy VII. So this is specifically for Zack, but it can be for anyone who is like a second, third, or first class soldier. You just wear different colors. So second and third class wear black shirts and pants, and this is not obviously the same thing. I'll get into that at the end. First class wears all black. With the brown stuff. So, so this is for my friend Atlas, who's going to be Zack. So I'll talk about how to attach everything at the end. So let's get right on into the tutorial. I start this off by tracing out my template onto 4mm EVA foam. Oh, and I didn't mention it in the intro, but I do have a template for this on my website, which is linked in the description. I also cut the piece out with an X-Acto knife, but you can use a utility knife if you want, just a regular one. This is just what was already on my table. And I did this 4 times, flipping the pattern over to make 2 of them mirrored. Then I used my heat gun and a planisher that I made from a broken light and some spray paint lids to heat form the foam into the curves that I want. And when doing this, it's always a good idea to wear a respirator. EVA foam gives off fumes that you really don't want to breathe in. Anyway, like I said, the planisher is used to heat form and curve the foam. This will make it go together better when you're gluing the pieces together. The planisher isn't that great though, but it is good for starting the curves. So after that, I move on to using my hands to finish getting the curves that I want. Now that all the pieces are curved, I can use contact cement to glue them together. You'll also want to wear the respirator here, as contact cement is very bad to breathe in. All I'm doing here is adding glue to the long top edge, and just know that anytime that I mention using contact cement in this build, I use 2 coats, because the first coat always soaks into the foam way too much. Then once the contact cement is ready and somewhat tacky, I can put the 2 halves together. This seam doesn't have to be perfect though, because it's the under layer. The top layer will have to be perfect, but this one doesn't. So it's okay if it's not flush all the way down, as long as you get it as good as possible near the side that'll eventually be the furthest away from your shoulder when wearing them, as that section is going to be exposed a little bit. Other than that, you'll be fine. For some reason, this armor design has a leather strap on the lowermost section of the armor, and I have no idea why. This is not how they attach to the shoulder pads, so I don't know what this is for. But anyway, to do this, I'm going to use some 3/4 inch vinyl strapping that I got from Joann's. I bought the entire thing like half a year ago, or more than that even. But it's cut to length to fit, and then I cut slits into the armor so that it can be glued in to give the correct appearance. And I actually take these out right now, and I'll add them in later after painting. I also cut a strip of foam to act as the back angled piece. I don't know what this is called, but you can see it in the video. The edge that attaches to the back of the armor is cut at a 45-degree angle, which allows it to be angled upward like this. To make the top layer, I repeated the exact same steps, but I trimmed the edge off the pattern all the way around, except for that back edge that's closest to the neck, by about 8mm smaller. And unlike the lower layer, this one, when you put them together, you will need to make sure they're as flush as possible. After the top layer was all glued together, I then used strips of 2mm foam cut at about 6 to 8mm wide and glued it all the way around the edge of both pieces, or well, technically all 4 I guess, and it created a raised trim. Also, you may notice on the underside, I ended up just making the bottom a layer of trim instead of the entire shape. This just made gluing easier, but you don't have to do this. You can just glue both pieces directly together. It just takes more glue. But I did this with contact cement. Now that the build for both pieces was complete, I moved on to painting. I started with just a few layers of black Plastidip, and I actually planned on only doing that. But it was cold out and it didn't dry correctly, so I ended up having to use matte black acrylic brush-on paints. I tried to do it in a way that left a texture, because these are supposed to look like they have a texture, which is what the Plastidip would have done, but it didn't come out right and it looks just like normal paint. It's not a big deal though. If you can use Plastidip in a good weather environment where it dries correctly, then that should be all you need for the black parts. Then I carefully paint the bottom layer silver. I ended up using a small detail brush for areas that were really close to the top layer in order to not get silver all over the black. But whenever I accidentally did do that, I just used more black to cover up the overspill. And now all that's left is to glue in those vinyl straps. I had to reopen the cuts that I made, as the paint closed them up, but they were still visible, so that was really easy. And I just used regular super glue for this. The strapping that I used sticks immediately to super glue, so it's the best option for these specific ones. and I'll try to link them in the description where I found them. But that is the last step, and if you want to hit it with a matte clear coat, go ahead, and the armor is done. Alright, so that's how to make the soldier armor from Final Fantasy VII, specifically Crisis Core, which is where these designs actually first showed up. So now that we're at the end here, I can ramble a little bit. So I'm going to talk about how to attach everything. That's going to be a little bit difficult because I don't have the stuff here to show you. And I'm not going to have it in time for this video to come out. So Atlas, is the one who this is for, who's doing Zack with me, I'll be Genesis. He is making 2 of these shoulder pads. And the reason he's not just making one and covering this side, which is what we were going to do originally, it keeps falling, sorry, is because mine attaches completely differently, and I'm not altering this one. So, it's really weird in Final Fantasy VII Remake. For the longest time, I couldn't figure out how this was supposed to attach to the armor for Cloud, so I just did these parachute clips, which I've done in the past for other versions. I did like Dissidia, as well as I did the original version and the Kingdom Hearts 1 version, and I always attached them this way. But I learned that that's not how they attach. So you can see it in Kingdom Hearts 1 that there's a little strap here that attaches his armor. It does that in every one, apparently. That's how all of them are attached. Didn't know that. It's very hard to tell, but in the remake, in Final Fantasy VII Remake, you can get the camera under his armor a little bit. You can see this little strap here that holds this thing on. Apparently, that's just how they're held on. There's 2 straps, one here and one in the back, and then one on the top that anchors it. And yeah, you can see it extremely well in Crisis Core. I just never noticed. So it's very easy to see in the new Crisis Core Reunion, the remaster or whatever that they did. I have it on Switch, but you can get it on PS4 and PS5. And you can see it a lot better there, and I'll post some pictures up. But there's a big strap that comes from like right here all the way up into the thing that holds it together, and you can see it very clearly, and it has a big old buckle and everything. So there's going to be one of those in the front and back on each side, as well as one in the center that keeps it anchored to the actual shoulder pad itself. So Atlas is making the shoulder pads at his house. And he's not going to have them done in time for this video. So that's why I can't show you them for this. I'll try to have a video where I show putting it all together or something when he gets those to me, but I don't know if I can. If not, then at SoccerCon, where we're going to be doing these cosplays, I might do it in the vlog and show the differences. So there's that. But if I do another video where I show how to put everything together, I will link that in the description. If it's not down there, that means it's not done, or it hasn't happened. So, just fair warning. But yeah, so that, again, is how you make the armor at least, because that's all this was for, was making the armor. So it'll be something like that, but with 2 shoulder pads. Yeah, also this is obviously the Advent Children Cloud outfit, but there, I didn't want to take it down. I took the armor off and the harness on the back, the sword harness. I took those off to be able to put this remake harness on there, but whatever. Anyway, that's going to be it for this. If you like it, go ahead and give it that thumbs up, subscribe for more, and I'll see you guys later.